Hi, this is Julie with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to teach you how to make the Coralie earring, which features this really fun tassel which we've made out of this beaded chain. And so I have it here hanging because I wanted you to be able to see what it looks like hanging, but I want to pull it off of this stand so we can look at it a little bit closer so you see what we're going to actually be designing here. So we have 4 lengths of this wonderful beaded chain. Now it comes pre-beaded like this with all these little dangles. And these are actually little seed beads in between. We've added a few extra dangles at the base. We're using a cone, a bead cone, as our topper. And then we've got this other little rondelle, which is check glass, in the middle to add some extra movement to it and extra length. And then we have a little post earring. So I'm going to show you how to make it. What you're going to need is you're going to need for each earring 9 inches of this chain. And this is what this chain looks like. It's so pretty. I just actually want to make a necklace out of the chain as well and have it as a set. All you'd have to do is add a little magnetic clasp to it and a couple jump rings, you'd be done. All right, getting off track because it's fun to play with. All right, then you also need some little gold spacer beads, the post earrings, the earring backs. You're going to need, of course, 2 of these little cones, some head pins, some eye pins, and then these rondelles as well. And we have the full listing of the specific measurements and what all this stuff is in the notes to this video, so please do check that out. And it's also a full project on beadaholique.com. In terms of the tools you're going to need a pair of either round nose pliers or wire looping pliers, a pair of cutters. You want one with a nice fine tip. These are Zuron, I love them. And then 2 pairs of chain nose pliers, whichever ones you're comfortable with. So those are your tools and those are your ingredients. So to make this earring, we are going to start by making the little tassel lengths. So if we look really closely here, you can see that the blue beads are the center beads and the red ones are all the dangles. So the blue ones we're going to count, and there's a hidden blue one up in here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fully intact little blue links. You'll see that here each one has 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then there's one that's hanging off, which is not intact. That's the one we cut through. So now we're going to cut our chain appropriately. So you're just going to take your cutters and you want to make sure that the top loop and the top segment you're cutting has an intact loop. So here's an intact loop. It means you can hang something from it, either a jump ring or in our case an eye pin and some little extra dangles. And a loop that's not intact looks like this. See how that's been cut through. So on this top loop, we first want to carefully cut off the little dangles because they're not going to fit inside that cone. So just be real careful when you do this that you're cutting the dangles and not that loop. And save these because we're going to reuse them later in the project. Okay, so we have that loop. It's solid, it's still structurally intact. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now on that 7th one, which is right here, we want to cut it, and we want to cut it just beyond the coils through its loop. And separate it out. And now trim off that loop, but try to keep the beads still on there. So it does have a little bit of a rough edge, but not much. You want to cut that as much as you can. So there is 1 full length. And we want to make 4 of those following the same process. So here I've got the 2nd one, and I'm starting at that top one again. So this blue loop is intact, but I need to get rid of these red dangles. So I'm just going to cut them off. And just be patient. It's kind of a little bit of a delicate process, just making sure that you're only cutting those dangles off. You're not cutting this loop, but it's pretty easy to see when you have it in front of you. But that's why you want a nice pair of cutters that can really get in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then on the 7th one, we're going to cut it. And pull it apart, pull it off. Okay. And trim it. And we're just going to repeat. All right, we've got all our lengths here, all our little wonderful tassel fringe pieces, and now we're going to put them up through the cone. And so if you look at our example earring here, you see that we've got the 4 pieces put through the cone, and then at the top we have a little blue bead and we have a very petite wrapped wire loop. So what we're going to do is we're going to be using an eye pin, and we're going to need a blue bead. So I'm actually going to go ahead and cut a blue bead from this chain here. Cut the coils and let that little blue bead slip off. Now we're going to open up the loop at the base of our eye pin, and we're going to slip on the top blue links. And these are the ones that we've removed all the red dangles from, so make sure you're working from the correct side. And we remove them because they're just not going to fit inside that narrow cone. Okay, so once we've got all 4 on there, we're going to close it up. And really make sure it's closed well. You can even give it a little pinch if you want to make sure that it's closed. And once these get wedged in there, there's not going to be much chance for them to flip up and come out of that. It is a pretty tight fit. So we have our cone. We're just going to slip it through our cone and slip it down over it. And it's pretty cool. You can actually look in here and you see that those little blue beads are fit in there really nice and tight. So that is that part. Now we want to put a little blue bead on just for a little accent. And now we're going to make a wrapped wire loop. And we're going to be doing that with our wire looping pliers. Again, if you have round nose pliers, you can also definitely make wrapped wire loops with round nose pliers. Okay, so right where it exits the bead, we want to try to pull this pretty tight. Okay, grab the wire with your pliers and make a little loop. Bend that wire over and down, rotate your pliers up to the top, grab this tail with your fingers while you're still gripping the loop, and now you can either keep gripping it with the round nose pliers or you can switch to chain nose, whichever feels more comfortable to you. And we're just going to make a wrap. You don't need to do a lot of wraps, just a wrap. And then trim your excess wire. And now what you want to do is you want to go back and you want to tuck that little tail in, but you don't want to press too hard because you don't want to accidentally crack your seed bead. They are glass seed beads. So there we've got all the dangles. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add some little accents to this. So if you see here, we've got some extra stuff happening here. And I did that because I really wanted these to fan out a little bit more when you wear them. So it almost forms more like a triangle shape instead of straight up and down. I just wanted a little bit more interest there. So if we take a look at just one strand, there are 2 extra dangles on it. There's one that has 1 gold bead and 1 red bead, and there's one that just has 2 gold beads. Pull these guys all over here. And now to get the red beads, we need to trim off their little wire bits. So you can do that, but it's got that little ball head pin at the base of it. Just trim it, and then that will release the bead. If you work a lot with gemstone chain, always save the little its and bits. When you cut it, it happens. You end up with just a little extra stone or a little extra dangle. I've found more uses for them, and I just keep them in like a little jar, and they're just kind of a fun thing to keep on hand. Sometimes though too, you can also use them in applications like this where, you know, you incorporate them back into the design to add consistency to the overall look. All right, so I know that I'm going to need a total of 6 of these guys. I need 4 for the dangles and 2 for up top. All right, so let's create some little dangles. I have a head pin. I'm going to place 1 little red bead on it and 1 little gold spacer bead. And I'm going to create a simple wire loop. So to create a simple wire loop, same process as the wrapped wire loop. I'm just grabbing it, bending that wire down, rotating it up to the top, and crisscrossing my wire. But now instead of wrapping it, I just trim it where it crisscrosses. Okay, and I'll tidy up that loop when I actually attach it to my chain links. So the second dangle on this one is going to be 2 of the spacer beads. Same exact thing, just going to grab that wire, bend it down, rotate to the top, crisscross, and trim. So I'm going to attach these to one of my links so you can see exactly how to do it, and then I'm going to do the other 3. So we're going to open up this loop. And we're going to look at here, and we've got those 2 red dangles. We have the little blue one, and we have a nice intact loop. And on that intact loop, we're just going to slip that wire, close our loop back up. Again, give it a little pinch. We want to make sure it stays closed. And then we're going to do the same for the little one with the red bead. Okay, so just find the opening to that loop. It's getting a little bit crowded at this point, which is fine, and that's why we're only adding 2 extra dangles, because I could not fit 3 on here. Okay, so there it's through, and now we're just going to close it on up and give it that pinch. All right, so that one has the extras added. And we're going to go and do that to all 3 of them and make all the little dangles for ourselves. We're ready to finish up our earrings. So we've got the tassel made. That was the big portion of it. Now we just need to make the little connector dangle and add the earring post. We're going to take an eye pin, place onto it a red bead, a gold bead, another rondelle, another gold bead, and a final red bead. So that's what we've got there for our little segment, and now we're going to create a simple wire loop right at the end of it as well. You could always make this a wrapped wire loop if you wanted to. By no means do you have to, though. Okay, right where it crisscrossed, we cut. And since this one's already a little bit open for me in the creation process, I'm just going to finish opening it up, slip on our tassel, and close it on up as well. And now we're going to add our earring. And since this is a eye pin, you can open that eye again. Just nice and easily slip on the earring post. There's really no right or wrong side to these, so you don't have to worry about that. Close it on up. And we're done. Let's just add an earring back. And we have our pair of Coralie earrings using this really fun, beautiful chain. I just love this chain. I've been trying to use it in a bunch of different projects because I just think it's so pretty. So that is our pair of earrings with these fun tassels, and you can of course make these longer. You're buying this by the inch, so you can make them any length you want. You can make them shorter, you can make them longer. Have fun with the design, and then make a matching bracelet or a matching necklace. It'd be really a nice little set. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to make this pair of earrings. If you did, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out the hundreds and hundreds of other videos we have there and at Beadaholique.com.